did you guys know that studio heads are afraid of YouTubers? Like they actually listen to what YouTubers have to say and are scared of it. So there's this great article here and Bounding into Comics. And Alex, I'm going to get to you in a second because I know you play, Kingdom Come.
Yeah, boy.
But basically, this video game director for Kingdom Come Deliverance was on a podcast recently, and he basically let it slip that AAA studios in the gaming world are terrified of internet critics like Asmongold and the Critical Drinker. And he says that when somebody starts to critique a game, it does have impact in the corporate world. And I feel like the same is true of Hollywood as well. Like people listen to Nerdrotic and the Critical Drinker and stuff like this. And
100%.
They're scared when they run afoul of these people. There's a reason why Terry Matalas courted the online critics for season 3 of Picard, because he knew that if he could win them over, it would reflect in the ratings. So I want to start with Alex on this one because he does play Kingdom Come Deliverance. Do you agree with the director's sentiment that big studios are aware of what YouTube critics are saying about them?
100%, absolutely. Especially these at this point in time, especially in the nerd sphere and video game sphere, these names like Asmongold and Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic, these are household names to their key demographic. The people they are trying to sell their product to all watch these guys. The mainstream media is dead. YouTube is the place where people get their information from, whether it's freaking Jeremy Johns for movie reviews. Like that guy can tank a movie 100%. He could put a video out there saying the new Nosferatu movie was dog shit rating, guys. Only fun if you're drunk, and it will affect the bottom line of that box office 100%. So yeah, and to credit Warhorse Studios, the people who made Kingdom Come, they've been like super based about, because their game is legitimately based in real history of Bohemia, of the Eastern European area over there where their game takes place. There's actual history that they're basing their game off of. These cities are real, these events are real, the characters in the game that you interact with were real people in history from the 1400s. They're like, and then once some freaking big glassed blue-haired idiot comes up and says, well, you don't have enough diversity in your video game. And he's like, it's about European history. Everybody was white. Like, shut up.
Shut up.
It's like,
shut up.
That's where they're, and I appreciate the hell out of it. The first KCD game, Kingdom Come Deliverance, it was on Steam for sale. I've never heard of this game before, but it was on sale for like $2.99. And I was like, you know what? I've been looking for a new RPG to jump into. I'm in love. I immediately fell in love with the whole franchise. I found out they're coming out with a second one in February. And when I'm reading about these interactions with the people who are in charge of this video game, I'm watching the promotional material for the new stuff, and they are just purely there to provide entertainment and a solid product to their key customers. And that's all they worry about. And I'm like, freaking good for you, man. Go for it. I will 100% support anybody who acts like that when it comes to video games, movies, or whatever, whether it comes to Sonic and they're like, you know what, guys, we really did fuck that up. Sonic looks like a freaking horror movie. Yeah, we're going to fix that. Like, as soon as they went, yeah, we're going to fix that. I was like, okay, I'm buying a ticket to your movie. Great.
Yeah,
and
100%.
As soon as this guy says, no, we don't need more diversity in our video game because this is about Bohemian history in the 1400s. They are diverse enough. I'm like, I'm buying your fucking game for full price, bro. $67. I don't give a shit. I'm buying it. So it's like 100% YouTubers are the voice of, I would probably say at this point, the majority of the people that they're trying to sell these products to. They are the representation of the community that they're talking about. And it makes a huge difference when somebody huge like Gary or a Critical Drinker or one of these guys says something positive about a game or negative about a game. And as long as they're authentic about it and they're being real and I don't think any of them are really doing this for clicks. They're not going to be overly negative about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because they want more clicks. They're going to be like, no, this is a solid game. It's actually really well made. And I appreciate the fact that the studio's based. Like, all that is just make more people buy the game. So, yeah.
Brian, Alex talked about authenticity, and it seems to me that a lot of audiences have caught on to the fact that mainstream media are basically paid for, right? Like you have these big studios that basically have the game journalists in their pocket, they have the movie reviewers in their pocket, they're afraid to bite the hand that feeds them, so they just give everything like a positive spin. But these YouTubers are authentic in their opinions, and if you like a YouTuber and you agree with their opinion more often than not, their opinion carries a lot of weight because you feel like you're getting like the straight scoop on these things.
Yeah.
And when you and Shane were approached by Terry Metalis to look at Picard season 3, I think one of the big reasons that Picard season 3 gained a lot of traction is because you went to a lot of these YouTube guys that you're friends with, and they respect your opinion because you're authentic in how you critique things. And so that got them on board to watch it. Do you think that this is the future here, where people kind of buck the mainstream media as opposed and favor independent YouTubers?
You know, I do, and I think that a lot of these industries like the gaming, TV, movies, whatever, I think they're terrified because they've held a stranglehold on reviewers by withholding access and just playing the review game. Hey, critic, come out to this, like for Rings of Power, come out to this big event. We're going to wine and dine you, and literally make it impossible for you to say a single bad thing about our TV show because you want to continue to be treated this way. Yeah. When Fast and Furious 19 and a half comes out or whatever, you have these critics that are being flown to Dubai and put up in $10,000 a month. What are they going to do? Say it's a bad movie? Of course not.
It's a form of bribery. Exactly.
Right. On the same note, like even on a lesser note, we were given screeners. We were given screeners for almost every major platform for a while there. And we were given the Star Trek screeners and from Paramount. Well, there was this moment where we were like making our videos based on having the screeners ahead of time. Like, oh, we're making this next video on this, on this coming week's episode. We have to have it before, or else we're not going to be able to produce this video in time to release it at the right time to get the most amount of clicks to fund our lives. And I remember thinking to myself, hey, what if it sucks? Because we're going to say it sucks. And at some point we're going to lose access to this.
Yeah.
I got really lucky that when I put my ass in the line for Star Trek Picard season 3, it didn't suck. Got really lucky because it didn't. I was really happy with it. To be fair, I had seen it ahead of time at Terry's. So when I went to Nerdrotic and I went to everyone that we talked about, I was like, look, guys, I watched it. It wasn't that I was just in his house eating his pizza. That was fun. But I watched it and straight up, it was great. Now, was he trying to bribe me a little bit? Possibly.
Okay. With pizza? Okay.
I'll be real.
Yeah.
I got pizza and coffee and popcorn, unlimited candy in my own private movie theater. I'll be real. Man. That felt good. But when I watched it, though,
dined.
But when me
why
and
does
Shane
this feel
left,
like it's getting to a good touch, bad touch thing?
When me and Shane, I was also touched in a bad way and a good way. When Shane and I left, though, we were like, "Hey, look, that was a good time. He's a good dude." But I looked at Shane. I'm like, "What do you think about the show?" And he goes, "Let's say it at the same time." And we were like, 1, 2, 3, loved it. Both say it at the same time. We loved it. It was about honesty. Well, because I think that YouTubers and like people in our space are almost like what Gary said. I'll lose my channel before I lie about this shit.
Yeah.
Right. That's so based. Well, that's how all of us feel. Like, okay, like I'm not gonna bullshit you so I can keep your stupid screener access to Paramount, because worst case scenario, I'll just make that fucking video a week later. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be honest, because that's what we do. We're honest. Well, the industry hates that because they are losing control over the reviews and the critics that they've held control onto for a long time now. And so they're fighting back. And like you see it in the gaming industry with all these hyper LGBT woke people, that they've taken over a big portion of this industry, and they've denied certain people access to their games because they are trying to control it, and they're unable to control it. It's gotten so big. Yeah. This free speech sort of critic side of the internet has gotten so big they can no longer control it, and they're lashing out. And now you have games like Helldivers and this game Kingdom Come. These games that are just, in a way, Dota 2, just, I don't give an F about your crazy politics. We're going to make a good game and screw off. And they're criticized for a time, but they're upheld by the gamers because the people they actually go to for a genuine opinion are saying, hey, play this game. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're losing control, and they're freaking the hell out, dude.
There used to be a time when the majority of people would go to places like PC Gamer or IGN or Kotaku or, a plethora of these shit tier websites and magazines that used to be going on out there. Yep. But you never really can take them. I personally never took them seriously when they're trying to critique a game. Then you flip the page over, there's a big old 2-page ad for that very game that they just critiqued, right?
Remember Game Informer?
Oh, okay. It's like,
I remember reading a review on a game, and there was a giant ad for the game.
Right. But now what's, people, there's all these YouTubers and people on Twitch and everything that play these games now. But I get a little concerned when I'm watching, Tim the Tap Man play the newest shooter game out there, and he's trying to critique this brand new game, but yet he's been brought on by that very game to give him early access to show everybody. It's like, oh, okay. Are you being like genuine here? That is this really the greatest new shooter of 2024 or whatever? So there is some of that corporate shilling going on out there, but it's only for those really giant, huge channels. These guys that have like a 1 million plus subs. These are the ones that these game companies are trying to influence. It's the smaller channels out there.
They did exactly what you're saying. They literally created a streamer out of nowhere.
Cootie shoes.
That's a great show. Well, Dutch, let me ask you this. So, in this article, Asmongold, who was a streamer who kind of came up from his World of Warcraft stuff, and you were big into World of Warcraft, he acknowledges that he carries a lot of influence on this stuff after he reacted to the video about what this guy said. And streamers, and you're a video game streamer as well, people spend multiple hours every day with their favorite streamers playing video games, and it creates like a bond, like a parasocial bond where everyone feels like they know you, right? And so like when a friend makes a comment, like it carries a lot of weight. What we've been seeing recently, especially in the video game sphere, is you have like these sweet baby inks, these people who kind of come in and consult on these video games and force them to make people ugly and diversify and all this other stuff. And then recently you had Ubisoft come out and say that their Assassin's Creed game that's set in the samurai era is being delayed yet again. And they've been facing numerous amounts of backlash because they made the samurai African American or black. I'm just gonna say black. They made him a black samurai instead of a Japanese samurai, and so like basically you're playing a black samurai going around killing a ton of Asian people for this game, right? And it's totally problematic. But they did it because of DEI reasons, and streamers like Asmongold and stuff like that have been very vocal about how stupid this is, and Sony or Ubisoft keeps pushing back this game time and time again. Do you think that that gamers and streamers and stuff like that can actually tank a multi-million dollar, in some cases $1 billion AAA publisher just based off of calling out their bad practices?
Absolutely. There's nothing worse than a gaming community that you piss off. They can tank your game overnight, quicker than you can snap your fingers. Just look at Helldivers over the Sony thing. I can't believe Helldivers is still around, because when they went through this shit with Sony, overnight they lost 350,000 people playing that game. It went from
200,000 negative reviews.
Yeah. It was insane. There's nothing.
Didn't
There's
the
nothing
studio
more
come out with
toxic.
some base response though?
Yeah, I mean they're working on fixing stuff, but that's not the point. The point is that if you scorn your community, you're done. It's over. There's nothing, and there's really not really a whole lot of things that you can do about it.
Right.
And the gaming community, as toxic and crazy and angry as it can get, is also very supportive of each other, I think is the word I'm trying to. They have each other's backs when it comes to a lot of this stuff. You talk about this Sweet Baby Ink shit. I'm not touching any game that Sweet Baby Ink has their taint on. just not going to do it. I'm not going to buy it. I have zero interest.
Yep.
So you know, and I know there's other companies out there that kind of do the same thing. And you know, when I learn more about those, if there's games out there that they're injecting all their DEI bullshit into, I don't really have a lot of interest in those games either. But as far as Sweet Baby Inc. goes, no, I have no interest in that game, and I'm not the only one. There's thousands and thousands of people out there that feel just like me, and there's not enough of those blue-haired freaks out there that play games to support these games. Look at what was that game, that shooter that came out a couple months ago?
Concord.
On Concord. What they have, like, I mean, that's your
literally 11 days they shut the whole game down.
Yeah, that's your woke base of people that play games. They can't support the games.
Yeah, no, it takes a community.
So it takes a whole community. And
I had a friend of mine.
That's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing with this whole with the entertainment industry. There's so few of these people that just talk loudly on social medias and they try to push their influence around. There's not enough of them to even really make a difference, but yet we give them such wide bursts, and we give them so much influence, and we give them the platform. It's just like, shut up already. We don't have to listen to your bullshit anymore. Because,
a friend of mine who was a Dota personality said this. He goes, "Hey, you know how we're all super toxic to each other?
Mm-hmm. That's how we roll.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
Fuck you and your mom. Okay,
yeah,
asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, thanks, man. I love you too.
As toxic as we are to each other, remember, we're all playing the same game. We're all bros.
Yeah. Tell your mom I said hi, loser.
So if we're that toxic to each other, wait till you piss us off with your woke bull crap. Man. We're just gonna we're gonna flip it, and it's just as fast as we can flip on each other. We're gonna flip on you faster. I think that most gamers are not toxic in that way, but they just don't give an F, and they don't have time to play. A lot of gamers too are older people who just want to come home after work, play a couple matches, and then go to bed. Like
that's my stream. That's my stream every night. I get home from work. I log on at 11 o'clock. I play games for 2 hours. I log off and I go to bed.
This is our bowling. Leave us alone. Right.
That's what we do.
Well, Odin, Critical Drinker and Gary and, guys like that. I know that, you spend time on a little known live stream called Friday Night Tights, and, you slim it with them over there. But how do you like, it's very obvious that they've reached like mainstream acknowledgement where they're showing up on Piers Morgan and all this other stuff, and so like their voices are being magnified. And one of the interesting things about this article is like the video game people feel like I feel like they get a lot more instant feedback based off of what these influencers have to say, whereas the movie studios continue to fight back against it. They continue to vilify their critics and vilify the fans that don't want some stuff like that. Hollywood has basically pioneered the blame the fans marketing strategy, where it's like, oh, the fans are racist, the fans are sexist, the fans are this, and that. They don't understand our genius. They shouldn't be listened to. And it's because of that people like Critical Drinker and Gary, I think, have found like some real support, simply because they're not afraid to basically voice their opinions despite all like the labels that could be applied to them. So how do you think they view an article like this, where they're basically saying that like, oh, these guys are the ones that Hollywood listens to and are afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that now, are you asking like what would like Gary and them think about an article like this? Is that the
just like do they actually believe that they have this type of power?
Okay, I was trying to like who was the one who was seeking the. It was like, is it the people who was writing the article or the? Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I think that they probably would think they have some influence, right? Because they can look at their own analytics, they can see the impact they have. I think especially for Friday Night Tights and the whole crew we have there, it's really the meetups that I think make it real, like even more so, because super chats and the discords and all the other interactions that we can have with people are huge. But until you actually have that physical interaction with people and you're waiting in a line, and even someone like me who tries the best that I can to speak up on the show when I can, but it's very hard to get a word in edgewise sometimes on the show. But even I can be standing and talking to people for like 4 hours. I remember like the first Dallas meetup I ever went to, we were in this bar and I realized 4 hours had passed and I was still just talking with people. And so I think that is something where that makes it a bit more real. And I think that that's probably what has made it a bit more a bit more of a wake up call for people like Gary and others, where they realize just how much power they have, how much influence that they can have. Now, whether or not they personally believe, obviously, you would have to ask them as far as like how much influence they have. But definitely someone like Critical Drinker, even more so, right? Because Gary obviously has a huge reach, but Critical Drinker, I think, has the widest reach of almost anybody in this space, in our circle. And it's really cool now just to have him be so mainstream that I can talk to a lot of my friends, or I can talk to, even some, students will bring this up at school as well, where they'll have at least heard of Critical Drinker, right? He's much more of like this iconic statement. So I think that for sure they should definitely be afraid of voices like his. But I think that, Gary has to be in that mix as well, because he's definitely on that rise to being at a very similar level. And I think there's a lot of others in our space that are also, kind of rising to that level as well. And obviously anyone that Drinker associates with will also be able to, get even that much further along as far as their own cultural influence is concerned. But it's just so cool now to see someone like Drinker, be the person that a lot of people, even in Hollywood, will literally say, like a lot of people's sources will mention, saying, yeah, they watch Drinker's videos and they mention these things. And, I think that, yeah, people like him and Johns have a huge impact, much bigger than anyone I think would typically realize, especially covering the box office. I can tell, when there are movies that are universally panned by the online version, online critics versus the establishment critics, usually the box office is soon quick to follow.
Yeah, and Tom, you're part of Midnight's Edge, which I would kind of put into that category as being influential YouTubers. How do you think the future of this is going to pan out? Do you think YouTubers are going to be gaining more traction? How do you think Hollywood's going to fight back against them? What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'm flattered that you would put me in that category with the rest. But yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of time. I mean, you guys have pretty much said everything that I can say here. It's mostly about authenticity, right? We're fans first and foremost. We're geeks. We're nerds. We're into this stuff. We know the ins and outs. We kind of can draw patterns and see where things in the past worked and didn't work. So we're doing a lot of the footwork that these studios are paying tons of money to these, groups that do like statistics and studies and, little group things and test audiences and all that kind of stuff. We are your test audience, you idiots. And we've been saying this for years, and if they just start listening to us, and now, thank God they finally are. Are we right all the time? No. Should you listen to the fans all the time? Not necessarily, but when you have a group like Critical Drinker and Gary and guys like that, who most of us here on the panel know personally, what's the one thing we can say about them all? They're pretty much what you see on stream. I'm kind of the same way as far as I can tell. I mean, we're all just who we are. I mean, yeah, I get a little boisterous and over dramatic and passionate about shit, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, most people know when I'm being authentic, and that's kind of, I think, the key thing. I mean, and you'd think that the media industry and Hollywood would have figured this out years ago, but they just for some reason refuse to acknowledge it. They just continue to try and sell us the lie, and we're just supposed to play along, I guess. I mean, that's just what it is. But no, it's great to see these guys pop up on like Pierce Morgan, or even hear like Valiant Renegade's name mentioned on Gutfeld and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I mean, even to see our name pop up in a article or something like that sometimes gives me that whole kind of like, wow, we're actually making a bit of an impact. To hear J.J. Abrams mention us as the fandom menace, I mean, little things like that do make an impact. And regardless of what some people want to try and pretend and say, when those things happen, it legitimizes us. When James Mangold turns around and retweets you, Matt, and tries to make a mockery out of you, when we all knew how that was going to turn out, right? Like, I mean, let's be real. In what universe, what multiverse, and what MCU multiverse is there a good fifth Indiana Jones movie? I'm willing to bet none. So, like, in this world where we can tell you whether or not this is a good or bad idea, maybe they should start listening to us. Sonic's a great example. You guys have given all great examples of where things have been. You guys have made a difference with Star Trek, the Picard season 3 and stuff like that. I mean, we've had our little piece of cultural impact. Like 25% different has now become kind of a meme. And I want to, I know we originated that shit. So, I mean, because it's true, it's what it was. And they've come back to finally admit that that's basically what it is. It's this unquantifiable difference that it has to be. So lawyers can say, yeah, we could argue in a court of law, that's different enough, at least 25% different. That was the term that was put out there. So like just little things like that, you know, I mean, it's really kind of neat to be part of the culture that we love so much. You know, at the end of the day, I think that's the big part of it that really impacts us the most.
And I think the big part about these YouTubers is that they're the voice of the audience. A lot of people watch these guys because they have a hard time articulating what they feel is wrong with the entertainment that they consume. These guys just nail it. Yeah. But these guys, they become the voice of the fans. And I feel like going forward, if Hollywood and the gaming industry continue to not only ignore these voices, but fight back against them and try to attack them, it's to their detriment. You know, like I think there's a reason why Zuckerberg came out and said, "Oh, we're cleaning up our shit at Facebook," right? You know, because he's kind of in tune with where the winds are blowing.
Boy. That's a whole other topic. The Zuck.